1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan, the news read by Muhammad Zubair Khan. First, the headlines. Prime Minister has expressed resolve that people of South Punjab will be given right of access to education, healthcare and development. Minister for Planning and Development says 35 million people will be vaccinated against COVID-19 during door-to-door campaign in next 2 weeks. Special Assistant on Interfaith Harmony has called for national unity to foil negative designs of enemies of the nation. Pakistan and Kyrgyzstan have agreed to continue bilateral consultations to further strengthen their relations in all areas of common interest. Pakistan Maritime Security Agency has apprehended an Indian vessel poaching in Pakistani exclusive economic zone along with crew members. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Indian troops in their unabated acts of state terrorism have martyred 22 Kashmiris during the last month. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan says the government is committed to mitigate deprivation of people of South Punjab. He was addressing the launch ceremony of Naya Pakistan National Health Card for Bahawalpur Division in Bahawalpur today. The Prime Minister said that the people of South Punjab will be given their right of access to education, healthcare and development in accordance with the percentage of the population. The National Health Card, providing 1 million rupees medical coverage per household annually, will benefit around 10.5 million people belonging to Bahawalpur Division. Terming the Universal Health Coverage Program as landmark step of the government, he said coverage facility is being provided to every citizen in the country, which is not even available to citizens of developed countries. In Pakistan, he said the philosophy behind the health card is in line with the goals of a socio-welfare state of Medina, and it would prove a phenomenal step in the improvement of healthcare services. Imran Khan said provision of health card is a defining moment in encouraging private sector and creating an environment to compete for the public sector hospitals to improve their services. National Command and Operations Center today launched door-to-door campaign to vaccinate people against COVID-19. Addressing a news conference along with Special Assistant on National Health Services, Dr. Faisal Sultan in Islamabad today, Minister for Planning and Development Asad Umar said, under the first phase of the campaign, 55,000 mobile teams will vaccinate people at their homes for the next 2 weeks. He said 35 million people are expected to be vaccinated in the first phase. Sharing data about vaccination so far, the Minister for Planning said 80 million people have been fully vaccinated while 10 million others received single dose. Asad Umar said the fully vaccinated people are also recommended to have booster dose 6 months after the vaccination. He said like the first 2 doses, the booster dose is also completely free. Supreme Court has directed Sindh government to devolve financial, administrative and political powers to local government as enshrined under the Constitution. The Apex Court announced its verdict today on a petition filed by MQM Pakistan. In a tweet today, Minister for Information and Broadcasting Chaudhry Fawad Hussain urged Sindh government to fully implement Supreme Court's verdict regarding devolution of powers as it will reinforce democratic system. He said implementation of Sindh Provincial Finance Award and empowerment of local government will help abolish centralization of powers created under the 18th Amendment. Special Assistant on Interfaith Harmony Muhammad Tahir Ashrafi has called for national unity to foil negative designs of enemies of the nation. Talking to media in Islamabad today, he said enemies of Pakistan want violence and harm interfaith harmony by targeting security forces, which is evident from the recent incidents of terrorism in Balochistan. The Special Assistant said ulama of all sects are unanimous on Paigam-e-Pakistan and they have unanimously signed that document. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has assured government's full support and cooperation to Pakistan Navy to cope with emerging maritime challenges. He was talking to Naval Chief Admiral Muhammad Amjad Khan Niazi during his visit to Naval Headquarters in Islamabad today. In his remarks, the Naval Chief reaffirmed Pakistan Navy's commitment to defend country's sea frontiers, territorial integrity and interests. Meanwhile, talking to Minister for Maritime Affairs Ali Haider Zaidi in Islamabad, the Foreign Minister reiterated his party's resolve to continue struggle to bring changes to discriminatory Sindh local government law. He said use of government's machinery to target unarmed peaceful protesters by Sindh government is condemnable. The Foreign Minister said PTI will not leave poor alone and deprived people of Sindh. This is Radio Pakistan. President Dr. Arif Alvi has called for following journalistic legacy of Maulana Zafar Ali Khan to promote moral values and bring positive change in the society. He was talking to a delegation of Maulana Zafar Ali Khan Memorial Trust led by its chairman Khalid Mahmood in Islamabad today. He said the exercise will help achieve goals of nation building and overcome challenge of fake news to a great extent. Paying tribute to Maulana Zafar Ali Khan's contribution in Urdu literature, the President stressed that media should follow his ideals for promoting a truthful and impartial journalism in the country. Appreciating the efforts and services of the Trust, the President Dr. Arif Alvi said, our future generations need to be educated about the life and works of Maulana Zafar Ali Khan. Pakistan and Kyrgyzstan have agreed to continue bilateral consultations to further strengthen their relations in all areas of common interest. An understanding to this effect came during telephonic conversation between Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi and his Kyrgyz counterpart Ruslan Kazakbayev today. Both the foreign ministers discussed all aspects of growing bilateral relationship, regional peace and stability, and expressed satisfaction over close bilateral cooperation at regional and global fora, including SCO and ECO. About Afghanistan, the two sides agreed to make joint efforts to continue supporting that country through economic and humanitarian assistance. Shah Mahmood Qureshi said both the countries have vast opportunities to enhance cooperation in diverse sectors, including trade, investment, education, and culture. He stressed for further activating high-level contacts, parliamentary exchanges, institutional mechanisms, and people-to-people contacts to further strengthen bilateral relations. Pakistan Maritime Security Agency has apprehended an Indian vessel poaching in Pakistani exclusive economic zone along with its crew members. The vessel Satyavati was apprehended during routine patrolling by PMSA yesterday. The apprehended boat is being towed to Karachi for further legal proceedings as per Pakistani law and UN Convention on Law of the Sea. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Indian troops in their unabated acts of state terrorism martyred 22 Kashmiris during the last month. According to the data issued by the research section of Kashmir Media Service, of those killed, 4 were martyred in a fake encounter. 17 youth were critically injured due to use of brute force by Indian police and paramilitary personnel on peaceful protesters. 45 civilians, including political activists, youth, and students, were arrested, and most of them were booked under Black Laws, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, and Public Safety Act. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will hold talks on telephone today on Ukraine crisis. This development comes a day after a fractious United Nations Security Council meeting in New York. In the 8th match of Pakistan Super League 7th edition, Islamabad United will take on Multan Sultans in Karachi today. The match will start at 7:30 p.m. Pakistan Standard Time. And now the weather report. Mainly cold and dry weather is expected in most parts of the country during the next 12 hours. However, light rain with snow is expected at isolated places in Gilgit-Baltistan. Fog is likely to prevail in Upper Sindh and plain areas of Punjab during night hours. And now once again the headlines. Prime Minister has expressed resolve that people of South Punjab will be given right to access to education, healthcare and development. Minister for Planning and Development says 35 million people will be vaccinated against COVID-19 during door-to-door campaign in next 2 weeks. Special Assistant on Interfaith Harmony has called for national unity to foil negative designs of enemies of the nation. Pakistan and Kyrgyzstan have agreed to continue bilateral consultations to further strengthen their relations in all areas of common interest. Pakistan Maritime Security Agency has apprehended an Indian vessel poaching in Pakistani exclusive economic zone along with its crew members. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Indian troops in their unabated acts of state terrorism have martyred 22 Kashmiris during the last month. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analysis, please log on to our website radio.gov.pk and also watch live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.